Peter Arnell, the brand king.
Good morning.
I'm very excited.
Thank you.
I'm like a little nervous too. I told my podcast family, I'm like, between James McMillan and Peter Arnell, I'm like, oh my God. You have been in the business for 40 years. You have worked with some of the world's most iconic brands. Pepsi, the Fontainebleau Resorts. When DKNY, you actually helped rebrand them. You're the first non-designer to win a CFDA award. I remember when I first met you, and shouts out to my best friend Sabria, because you two had business.
Yes.
You guys were meeting to talk about something with Snoop, and she had her family, you had your family. We met at Cipriani. We had the whole lower level.
Right.
You had your daughter, your lovely wife. My two nieces were on board. The kids were playing. They were running up and down the hall. It's just us. We're breaking bread. You're telling us stories, of course, after the business was done. And I remember in that moment thinking, for me personally, wow, this is what success looks like. It was just that quiet moment of just all of us together. What does success look like for you?
I started in 1979, and I think the environment back then was pretty aggressive. It was the days of, anything goes. New York was crazy, Wall Street was wild, and there was a lot of insanity on the streets. And I realized that you can participate or step into that world, or there was another world of being quiet behind the scenes and helping people. And so I think I think for me, success looks for me personally, how much of what I do, or how many experiences, or how much relationship I have that I can bring to actually help other people. And in most of those cases, it's not commercial. It's through Special Olympics and through the fire department, the foundation, and a lot of civic work that I do and have done. And I think that's what keeps me grounded also. Those things tend to give me a much greater sense of success when you can actually park your learnings or your growth or your relationships into something meaningful with people who would never be able to connect with those important or relevant lessons or learnings.
When you look back over the 40 plus years that you've been in the business, the branding business, what is one campaign that sticks out to you the most where you're like, damn, I did that?
I've been really lucky my entire life. And I say that it really is the truth. I've been very fortunate to be blessed to meet a lot of people who believed in me from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because when I started out, I had no experience in any of this, and I was kind of finding my way. So there have been a couple moments. It's hard to pick just one out. There's been a couple moments, but I think the most important for me was working with Eunice Shriver and Timmy Shriver to remove the R word out of the system, because in the 90s, in a lot of rap songs and so on, the retarded was a very, very popular word used among slang. And we worked very, very hard on a campaign to get that out of journalism and get that out of the world of popular culture. And we were very successful. So that one I'm always proud of, and I think that one connects me to really kind of like my greatest success of all time.
Okay.
But there's been a lot. There's been the thing that I getting the vowels out of Reebok, a stale company that needed to be hip and cool again, and erasing those vowels and making it RBK. And I think working with Muhammad Ali for such a long time, on and coming up with the goat brand and doing all the work for him and Lonnie, who I still very much in touch with.
Is there one that the consumer may connect with that, and we may not know that it was you behind it?
Well, you brought up DKNY. I think that was a moment for me that even 40 years later, it's been a long time. I am very connected. People associate with me with the fact that I had 4 letters cut out in one place on a billboard.
You're known for that.
I'm known for that, chopping letters. But it was very different because we were in a period of time where color was very important in fashion advertising. Clothing was important. People wanted to know what you made. And I chose to take an aerial photograph of this great city.
The Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
It's iconic. And it's
Statue of Liberty and all that stuff.
It's black and white.
Black and white, yeah.
A lot of your work is black and white.
A lot of my work is black and white photography provides an incredible focus on the content. Color tends to disturb a lot of times the actual content, the forms, the message. So I started out black and white. I think in the beginning, when I picked up the camera, early 80s, and started doing photography, I didn't know better. It was easier, to be honest with you, and it was cheaper.
Okay.
But then it became quite popular also in the early 90s in fashion. People like Herb Ritts, Annie Leibovitz, Steve Meisel, they pushed into black and white a lot. So I was kind of in the right place at the right time.
How about that? Can you talk about what you've done with the Fontainebleau resorts? Because I didn't know that.
Yeah. So years ago, Jeff Sofer bought Fontainebleau in Miami Beach, Florida, an extraordinary, legendary destination that really created what we know today as 5-star resort luxury. And he asked me to work on it with him from both a design experiential point of view as well as a branding point of view. And so I worked for a couple of years on the renovation of that project with him. And it was great fun, and it was an important project. And my uncle, on my dad's side, his twin brother, his name was Emmanuel Abraban, and he worked for Morris Lapidus, who designed the Fontainebleau Hotel, coincidentally. And when I was very young, I had a chance of meeting him, actually. So the whole thing kind of was wacky and made good sense, but I felt like I was continuing in some kind of timeline there. And so I created a logo, FB logo mark that was reminiscent of the graphics in the era, and it became very popular. And also Live, there was a nightclub that was built there. I came up with that whole name, and Live is L-I-V, which is actually in Roman 54, which is the actual year that the hotel opened. So so that's why it's L-I-V, the brand of it. But then Jeff wanted to get us involved in this big project in Las Vegas, and he asked me if I can head up all, I guess, the holistic approach to design oversight with all the architects, and then get involved in all of the OS&E and FF&E, from the branding to the chips to the casino furniture to the hotel rooms to everything. So there was about 10,000 work streams that we did over 34 months, and I oversight that as the Chief Innovation and Creative Officer, and it was quite a project. But
aren't you still on as that?
We finished up our work mid last year. I had a terrible accident in March of last year. I was hit by a car around the corner from here, and at 40 miles an hour. No. But I had to slow it down. I just February got out of a wheelchair, but I broke my neck and my you can see I have no shoulder here, my ankles.
Wow, Peter, I didn't know that when we met. Yeah. You were still recovering.
Yeah, I was still recovering. Yeah, and so I just had a halt there. It's really healthy because I think it changed my whole perspective on a lot of things. Being in the hospital for a couple months, and then all the rehabilitation and so forth, and I shouldn't be here right now. For all when you look at it from the actual accident, I'm very lucky to be alive right now. All my ribs were crushed, my lung collapsed. It just goes on and on and on. But a guy on the phone.
What did that do for you? How has that changed your outlook?
I've always been a fighter, and
Is that the Brooklyn in you?
I think now I could say it's the Jimmy in me. Now that Jimmy was here, but like we it sounds like we're really, different mother, but just no one's going to tell us no.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little emotional here thinking about Jimmy's story.
It's okay.
But just to have a fight like that inside you, and to rise to what he's done is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Just extraordinary. So anyway,
we all have that. Sometimes it's being placed in a situation where it has to come out, and recognizing that you have it to pull it out.
And also just to listen to him. I grew up in the music industry. I started with Jimmy Iovine, Doug Morris.
Wow.
I had my wacky moments with Steve Stout, and I had, left and right with, Steve was my partner back then. Past Entertainment was Peter Arnell, Steve Stout. I gave him his first chance at getting involved in branding and marketing.
Who knew?
And because in the early days, there was a lot of work out there, but it wasn't available, especially in things that I wanted to do, to people who were kind of outside of the system. So even the early days with Jimmy and Doug's Farm Club, the early stage stuff, and all the work that the last couple albums with Michael Jackson that I designed. I've been in that world. Tina Turner, my entire life.
Oh my
worked
goodness.
for her, right? So the last portrait of Tina Turner that I took, and all that great work I did that Oprah supported me on in regard to Hanes and getting, Vendela, our white Norwegian model, off those billboards, and get Tina Turner in front of everyone with the right, resilient message, and connecting up a business for her.
Which was huge.
It was a big
The
thing.
image was great. She's
The
in that
whole-
little blazer and those fabulous legs, and
yeah.
she's on set,
Yeah,
and it's
she's-
black and white, and she's
Yeah,
just.
there she is. I
Woo.
can see her up there.
And you shared
Yeah.
all those amazing
Yeah,
memories
I had a
when
long
we
life
had
with
dinner.
her. It's interesting for me because we knew a lot of times we were right, but we knew it because we felt it. We didn't know it because we had facts
Oh,
or we
my
had
goodness.
support, right? And so people like Tina would raise the hand. I've been blessed, as I said, to have a lot of Tinas in my life, like Muhammad and so forth. These people have raised the hand and just keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
These are real fighters. Like the people I had, when Jimmy was talking about his mentors, I've been blessed to have people who didn't really even have to talk about things. You just be in their presence. But this Tina thing was iconic because of what it all meant. And then when even Oprah talks about living in the moment, it happened when she was practicing on the stage in Texas when we went on tour together, and she was trying to teach her how to dance down the steps, during
Which was a dream of Oprah's.
a dream of Oprah's.
Yeah, to
but
perform
we didn't
with
know
Tina.
that. We didn't know that. All we knew was that when I reached out to Oprah and her people, they said, we got this. And she was on the board of Sara Lee at the time. And so we need a little push because it's always helpful to get the check, right? This was a big idea. How do you actually integrate? Because I always believe from the beginning the best marketing in the world and the best brand development for anyone, whether it's personal or professional, organization or individual, would be to build the strategy into the product, whatever it is. Like Jimmy was talking about the song, it's got to start with the song, it's got to start with the performance, the talent. That's really the product, right, at the end of the day. So it was interesting because to conceive of a new brand called Resilience based on her life with New Denyer that would go out on a concert called Wildest Dreams, where Oprah would step up and turn her program over to all these people who were resilient in their life and had these dreams, extraordinary dreams that they could never, ever imagine fulfilling. Oprah was writing the checks for that, and Hanes was putting all this, from a marketing point of view in the marketplace, and I was just sitting there. I think I was in heaven for about 3 years during that project. It was really something. One day, hopefully, I'll write a book about that experience. But just being around those great people were extraordinary.
It would be
all the time.
what, book number 21? Because you.
28.
Oh, okay.
28.
Sorry, I was.
Yeah.
Adolf.
You know,
Bestsellers
when I
as
was
well.
when I was young, after I left Princeton, I went to work for Michael Graves, and I wasn't meant for architecture. I studied, excuse me, never practiced architecture, but I wasn't meant for it. I just couldn't imagine sitting around for 40 years waiting to get a commission. And back then, especially in the 70s, 80s, you had to be 50 years old to get someone to trust you to build something real. However, this is pre-Google. There was no knowledge out there, real knowledge on the young architects, Frank Gehry, Michael Graves, Charles Moore, Bob Stern, Norman Foster. All these great guys were coming up. And so I went to Rizzoli on Fifth Avenue, Mr. Monticelli, and I said, I've got an idea. Why don't you let me be the editor of these new books on architecture theory? And he said, no. and I kept on banging at it. And then I managed to put myself in the office of all those architects, 12 of them. And then I got their agreements. And then I went back to him. I said, I got their agreements, so you got to deal with me. That's exactly what happened. And
that's the grit.
Yeah. It's all about the grit. I think it's 99% about the grit.
Yeah.
The intelligence and all that other stuff, you can either acquire it, you can learn it well, you can be mentored, but this thing about getting up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and this thing about trying to go to bed, against all odds, 3 in the morning, 4, just sleeping the least amount. So I'm almost 70 years old, and I'm up easily between 3:30 and 4:30 every morning, and I go to bed as long as I keep my eyes open. And I just think it's about working hard and realizing you've achieved nothing in your life, and going to the desk every day and starting over. And I think that's really a great way to look at how to really progress your career, and also, more importantly, your ability to contribute, share, or teach or mentor others in the studio or around you. I think, like Jimmy was talking about before, people who work with you, whether they're brilliant or whether they're young and starting out, they need to be able to be coached. There's a lot of that goes on. You have to know who the stakeholders are, who the supporters are, who the sponsors are. You got to know your role and how you're going to grow and put the time in. So we've been very blessed to find a lot of great people in our life again. I think I'm off a little.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're loving it. I just want to make sure that we tap into our audience, because we have several questions for you. I don't even know where to jump. I see Paul Rand and yourself, 2 great creative forces from Brooklyn. What is it about Brooklyn that brings out the best creativity?
Someone's doing the homework. Yeah, so Paul Rand was an extraordinary, great, tough guy that I was blessed to know in my life. Very few people got close to him. He was the guy who started the School of Visual Arts, graphic design at Yale University. He was the designer of the IBM logo, UPS logo, and Steve Jobs was obsessed over him. And the moment Steve got thrown at Apple, he jumped on him to get the next logo, which he did for him for next company. And I got real close to him. In fact, I am blessed to know that I have his archives in my office that I look at almost every day. But I got close to him, and I was able to photograph him in his studio. And when Steve personally curated the Think Different campaign, I got a phone call from the great asking, I just spoke to, his wife, and she said, you have all the pictures of Paul, and it's not Mahatma Gandhi, it's not, Mother Teresa, it's not Muhammad Ali, it's Paul Rand that we want to launch the Think Different campaign with, and we know you got pictures. So he's hovering over his desk. That's the last picture of him before he passed away. And in his glasses, he's working on, if you look down, it's the upside down box symbols on the carton for IBM, because they kept him going. They gave him a check every month, and so he would just do work for them, just because he was legendary, and they kept him busy. So it was really an irony. I'm sure that Steve knew that like in the, because Steve's thing was all about the stripes and IBM. Funny. Remember, 1935, IBM says think. They come up with a magazine. Steve says think different, right? It's all this battle going on about crushing down the big giant organization, AT&T, Motorola, BlackBerry. That's his whole life. And so anyway, Paul Rand designs the IBM striped logo. The Apple comes out with the stripe. It goes on and on and on. But anyway, so I studied him. I became friends with him. I documented him. I miss him a lot. He's a great person, and I've been blessed to know him in a period of time which was able to really guide me, through a lot.
That's awesome.
I'm talking too much.
Peter, you are good. We still have people who are listening and watching. So
I see an AI
amazing.
thing up there.
So let's jump into that. Can you discuss branding with AI?
Yeah, you asked me about the accident, and what's really interesting is that succession, especially when you're a leader or you're more in the creative space, is a tough thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tough thing because is it a partner you need? Is it a team? I've been with Dan, who's sitting here. One of my blessed, trophies in my life is 25 years. He runs my organization. He went to Columbia. He's an architect too. We met at Guggenheim Museum.
Shout out to Dan. He's sitting
yeah, shout out to Dan Zuzanaga here. But I got really worried about this after this accident. I have 5 kids. I'm staring at them, and my wife is really tough. So I got real smart. I started doing homework, and I realized that I could take 40. It's actually close to 48 years of all of my IP, institutional knowledge, case studies, and every single detail of anything and everything I've experienced, and actually start building a learning machine, which I have done, called Genis, which I'm working on right now, to actually become the world's next generation of brand engines for the world, for people who are young, like the ones who you had asked Jimmy, how do you get in touch with and help these people?
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually in the middle of that project, which is going to be extraordinary. So I'm
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm leaning on AI to develop. I think that if the dashboard is correct, he called it prompts, but the dashboard is correct. This will provide young people access and knowledge to over 1,000 critical missions, from the repositioning of Chanel to the invention of Donna Karan to all the work that we've done. And so I'm resting well and much better these days, knowing that all of because we've digitized everything, every meeting now. We have a system that I started in 1979 called Bag and Tag. So every day's notes are labeled, and then when we got really smart, 2008, 2009, we started digitizing everything.
So this would be a database of all of your work over the course of your.
It's actually educating. If it's done right, of course, the machine itself continuously builds and grows, and hopefully, if we get it right, other people will join us, right? Because there's a lot of brilliance out there, much better than the stuff I've done over the years, and we want to just get it all together. But it's going to be a massive project in that space, and hopefully a prototype for other categories and other areas. But I don't think it replaces, in my situation. I think it learns. And so it then defines and defines. You see, a lot of people spend a lot of time and a lot of money, and they end up down the wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
That's why...
we want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
About when you... I'm glad you went that way. But when you have a plan, right?
Yeah.
Being able to not be so hell-bent on your plan, but listening to the consumer and being able to deviate. Can you talk to our brand people out there and how they can do that? Being, I guess, flexible.
Yeah. So, this word disruption that you hear a lot.
Yes.
It's real. Every industry has it. And you need to find a way to actually, especially in today's world where conversation matters. In the old days, it's buy this now for this price here, right? And that's really how it was, especially after World War II, when there was something called Madison Avenue, and it was invented to manufacture desire, right? All those factories, I said, oh, wow, here we go. What are we going to do with these factories making socks for the Army. And we're going to turn it into consumer products, right? And so you have this a complete shift taking place in the last 10, 15 years where people want to be in a conversation and they want to be part of it, and the audience is much stronger than the marketer. And so what happens is you need to really identify ways early on to be that disruptive so voice can actually explode, get in front of, or at least have a chance to communicate or be in a conversation or a dialogue with a customer in order for them to be able to join the brand, not buy the brand. And I think the big shift that's taken place is that people have to create invitations, over manifestos. And I think that is exciting because social media and technology today permit within seconds the world to hear what you have to say.
And to communicate
with the consumer. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So like what's going on live on your TV here, and so there's just so much value in the technology today and that conversation if you manage it correctly for the right reasons, and it's pure. It's got to be pure, in my opinion, because you can't fake it anymore. Authentic means 100% win. And so when you work with AI or you work with what we're doing now to develop Genesis, the idea is to actually reverse engineer. So within seconds, not months or years, with no money, you can bring forward at least 2, 3, 8, 12 different plans that you can then study or go dig deeper into on the best way or route to market. And in the old days, you'd try it, and you'd fall on your face. Or you try it and it was the wrong one. Or you try it, someone would copy you and you jump. But now I believe with enough knowledge and enough data early, it would be wonderful for people to know that they can accelerate brand definition, mission and statement, objectives, and a business plan within seconds. So we've modeled it. We're working right now with a lot of people on it, a lot of important. I work.
Can you give us a little? Give us some
sure.
hints.
I work very closely with the Stand Together Foundation in Washington. I do a lot of volunteer work for them, and I'm working with them on stuff. I'm using it all the time on people and projects. I work with Tom Brady, last 6 years. It at the moment is supporting me in a lot of ways, and I'm only about 8 months into the project.
Wow.
So, and we haven't gone public with it yet. We're just beginning to, leak it out, so to speak. But I'm real proud of it because my mind, which is a sponge, doesn't mean it's smart or it's not smart or it's good or it's just a sponge. It'll be able to be squeezed now, and all of that activity, knowledge, experience will be able to be shared, which is kind of exciting. It will result in a launch, I think, in 2027. Parsons here in New York City is doing a retrospective of my whole life, and it'll be very much integrated in all this stuff we're talking about with AI and stuff like that.
So when is Parsons doing that? Is that happening in 2027?
Do you remember exactly the date?
Yeah, it's December 2027.
Okay, we got some time. We definitely want to highlight that.
You got that. It's going to be interesting.
Excuse me.
It'll only be the second exhibition. The first one I did was on my photography. Years ago, Frank Gehry, the architect, wanted to curate a show on my. So we did 30 years of photography, and he built this incredible exhibition here in New York. And this will be the only second one. I don't really think much of what I do seriously is important. I think the processes, the people around it, the people have contributed to it, the team always first, mindset, that's really what's important. So when you do an exhibition, you really get a chance to get that message out. You always get, Peter Arnell did this. It's not true. It's always been team first. And I think that's why great things that take place because there's a real sense of your role and other people's complementary and supportive roles and how to actually access talent around you to build together one voice or one idea. And so in an exhibition, you can actually have the time to really, and then there'll probably be a catalog that comes along with it that'll be similar to the new book that just came out from Hache Khan's on my 40 years of work that you were referring to before and
yes,
stuff like that.
Which I have.
Yeah, which I sent you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
And now I
thank
got to
you.
send Jimmy a copy immediately. It's on its way.
Peter, this was such a fruitful conversation between you and James,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
still here. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your wisdom with us on the podcast Passion Faith. We got to get you back because, I mean, we could continue this conversation. I don't know. We could keep going on and on with your decades of work, but thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. It's just, I'm very honored to be here, and I wish you all the luck with,
Thank you.
I know you're just starting it out. It's going to be a home run. I love the name, and I love the fact that I was able to meet someone as important as Jimmy today. I'm sure that we're going to be talking a lot. Anyway, God bless you.
And God bless you as well. Glad to see you here. And glad to see you for another live podcast of Passion Faith. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Have a blessed day.